When I say woman, what comes to mind? Strong, powerful, dominant, and smart? Or weak, futile, passive, and docile? If you pick the latter, you have the same ideologies that Simone de Beauvoir, writer, existentialist, and feminist philosopher had when writing her book, The Second Sex. As a prior philosophy student who studied feminist philosophy, I gained great insight on what it means to be a woman, how we're portrayed in the world, and the role we play in society. De Beauvoir suggests the female body has to deal with experiences within a hostile or oppressive society that make women feel as if they're a burden or at a disadvantage when compared to men. I aim to dissect Simone's theory by analysing how the female experience in animation can either help or hinder the female character. I hope to make this an ongoing bite-sized series where we can discuss gender roles in popular animated shows. But without further ado, our first lady in question is Princess Carolyn from Bojack Horseman. All cartoon enthusiasts who own a Netflix subscription must know the cultural impact that Bojack has made since 2014. But for those who don't, Bojack Horseman is an adult animated show which premiered on Netflix in 2014. It follows Bojack, a humanoid horse who struggles with issues brought on by his traumatic childhood, failed acting career, and superficial environment. The show is set in Hollywood, an exaggerated, or maybe very realistic Hollywood, who homes a colourful cast of characters ranging from A-list celebrities to struggling artists. But I'm not here to speak on the show as a whole, I'll leave that for another video. I'm here to speak on Princess Carolyn, a talent agent and publicist to the stars who's also the ex-girlfriend of the titular character. She is introduced as Bojack's often on-again girlfriend who breaks up with him because he's just not ready for commitment.
You don't even respect me not to have a baby with me.
I never explicitly said that.
I didn't see the impact of introducing PC as the love interest, especially since her skills and talents as an agent are amplified throughout the series. But I thought back to this once reading The Second Sex. De Beauvoir says man is the subject and women are the object. So I thought, even as a very successful woman who holds many accolades, PC is known first as an extension of Bojack, not a woman with her own story that needs to be told. De Beauvoir argues that the meaning of what it is to be a woman is given by men, which I felt was an interesting point to raise since a lot of PC's choices throughout the first few seasons rest on how she can improve Bojack's popularity, therefore sacrificing her own goals in the process. But I know what you're thinking, she had to be introduced this way to give Bojack both an ally romantically and professionally. But this further proves the point that Bojack is the subject, the main character within PC's own life, and she is his object, someone who attends to all his needs even if they're not appreciated. But what do I have to say on Princess Carolyn's role as a woman? Quite a lot actually, so I'm going to break this down into 3 parts. Firstly, her character design and how it's used as an insight to her personality. Secondly, her role within relationships, and last of all, her goals and desires. So, PC's character design. Here you can see she's a pink humanoid Persian cat who wears a knee-length green dress, yellow cardigans and red pumps. I wouldn't say she's a fashion icon, but I do believe her character design was well constructed. Firstly, her skin. All fair is a deep fuchsia, which I think represents PC's femininity. And I know, I can see you rolling your eyes, telling me that pink literally just means pink and I shouldn't ascribe a colour to a gender, especially since pink wasn't seen as feminine until after World War II. And I'm not saying pink is for girls and blue is for boys, I'm saying pink is feminine and femininity is what PC embodies. I don't want to focus too much on what pink means or how her red pump signifies the passion PC puts into her career, because this isn't a video on colour theory. But I do want to speak on femininity as a character trait and how it was reinvented positively for PC. Simone de Beauvoir speaks on femininity as if it should be condemned in order for women to be accepted within society. Although I think the issue with masculine and feminine traits is how explicitly they've been placed into each category. If you're a character with strong attributes, you're usually seen as masculine, such as Buttercup from Powerpuff Girls, Spinelli from Recess, or Mandy from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. It's evident that de Beauvoir believed femininity was grounded in emotion, which I do somewhat agree to, but I think PC's strength explored through the management of her feelings.
For having feelings. Starting now, you are a hard, heartless career gal. Go to work, be awesome at it, and don't waste time on foolish flights of fancy.
She's able to explore her feelings without being too emotional. She's able to walk away from relationships without feeling like the whole world's ending. And she's also able to solve problems with both her head and her heart. A balanced character whose foundation stood on the strength within femininity. This has been explored throughout the years with female characters that are empowered by emotion to persevere, such as Merida from Brave, who used her frustration of her patriarchal community to develop her archery skills. Kim Possible, cheerleader by day but then fights crime by night. And one of my all-time favourite little girls, Lisa Simpson, who is the epitome of the female intelligence. I understand. Simone wrote this book in 1949, and she may not have thought the 21st year of the 21st century would be drastically different to the world she was living in. But I think PC is a perfect poster child for exploring your femininity while also being strong. This brings me to Princess Carolyn's relationships. De Beauvoir suggests that women who seek out the one are not living authentically and actually living in bad faith. But what is bad faith, you may ask? De Beauvoir suggests this was believing that love would complete us, believing that love was everything we needed, and believing that love was our destiny. And I think this is the issue PC had throughout the series when it came to her romantic relationships. Even though her main focus was on work and trying to climb up her career ladder, there was always a small part of her that longed for the happily ever after. I believe this is the reason why she kept dating Bojack, even though she knew he was a good for nothing. She had a glimmer of hope that maybe one day he would wake up from his selfishness and see her as a woman who he always needed. This is where the idea of living in bad faith would come to play. PC wanted to feel completed with Bojack, even though that would have never been the case. Bojack did not share the same goals. He didn't respect her as a friend and didn't see her as his equal. Although, Princess Carolyn did gain this from her relationship with Ralph Stilton. He was a mild-mannered, kind, considerate and thoughtful businessman who I was rooting for wholeheartedly. Humble and loving, he was the best fit for PC in my opinion. I don't understand why the creators didn't keep their relationship going. I saw no wrong in this man. De Beauvoir spoke on authentic relationships having a strong foundation, built upon friendship, equality and a shared meaning about the world. It was everything PC experienced while she was with Ralph, so I'm confused as to why he wasn't a happily ever after. If you have a con about Ralph and PC's relationship, please tell me in the comment box below because it still angers me to this day. And the last relationship I'll speak on is with Judah, my least favourite relationship and one I still cannot get my head around. Let me explain. Judah was PC's assistant throughout the later seasons of the show. Stoic and straight to the point, I saw Judah as an anti-comic relief. Someone who was unintentionally funny because they took everything so literal. He had trouble understanding and expressing his emotions, which I think the creators used as a "I always loved you but didn't know how to show it" trope. It wasn't until episode 14 of season 6 that he confesses his love to PC and she just somehow loves it. I was really sitting there like, really? What in the shark jumping, cousin Oliver troping is Netflix doing? I will not stand for this. I just couldn't handle the false plotline they were making to build the relationship.
Accurate and clear. I don't say things I don't know to be true. So believe me when I tell you I love you.
The amazing PC would never fall in love with a man from a song. They weren't similar enough to share the same passions, and they weren't opposite enough to have a good push and pull with their relationships. I think the only strength within their relationship is that Judah will do anything for PC. And I guess the creators were trying to flip the gender roles for once. I don't know. All I know is I hate it. I'm sure Simone de Beauvoir would hate it too. Judah isn't free or equal in a relationship as he just dotes on PC. Their relationship wasn't built on friendship because they initially had a boss and employee relationship that skyrocketed into love, marriage and then the adoption of PC's daughter. I'm just not happy with them being together and I hope that someday Ralph will come back and steal her away. This brings me to PC's goals and desires, which can be put into two categories. Firstly, career-driven goals. We see PC struggling to move from her small town to the big city in hopes of becoming a talent agent. She speaks on Amelia Earhart, the first female pilot who gave her the belief that if you really wanted something, you have to work hard and convince others you deserve it.
Both of you.
So put on those fly girl goggles, get in your bar plane, and fly to the sun.
but a woman's never flown to the sun before.
PC progressed from agent assistant to CEO of her own management company by the season finale. De Beauvoir doesn't speak on women as career-driven people, although she does speak on women's freedom in regards to how they navigate their lives. But De Beauvoir, who I remind you was an existentialist, argued that women are free to break from this role and define who they are, which PC is a great example of this. The small-town girl who was the child of an alcoholic mother and absent father who was still able to be very successful. PC's career storyline is one I must applaud the creators for, as it showed the struggle women have rising through the career ladder. De Beauvoir rejects the notion that women must emulate men in order to be treated as equals or to be in a position of power, which brings me back to the point that PC's feminine attributes didn't hinder her when asserting her power. She wasn't acting as a man to get where she wanted, she was embracing her newly found status by asserting her power. On the other hand, we have PC's goal of starting a family. It isn't explicitly explored until the 4th season of the show, where she tries to get pregnant but sadly fails. We're aware that it's a persistent issue as she goes through 5 miscarriages throughout her life. Her desire to become a mother isn't fulfilled until season 5, where she adopts her daughter Ruthie. It really shows how far we've come as a society to have a middle-aged character choose to have a child even though they're unmarried and single. De Beauvoir suggests that motherhood was forced upon women after marriage as an unlawful next step in their life. She wanted parenthood to be a true parental choice rather than a societal expectation. The show may have dragged PC through the mud a couple of times, but I'm really happy she was able to reach both of her goals by the end of the season. So, do I think PC's female experience hindered her character? Not at all. I think PC is an inspiration who revolutionized the middle-aged feminine trope. I look at her as like a personal hero who shows that women can be top of their game without the help of a man. She shows it's okay to hit rock bottom as long as you stand up and dust yourself off. And I'm happy this portrayal is engraved into the animation industry for years to come. With all this to say, I think it's time I say my goodbyes. Thank you for watching this video, guys. If you have any other female characters you'd like me to make a video on, don't be shy, drop a comment below. Follow me on Twitter at Sims_key and on Instagram at __keydraws. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Key out.